Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 16 amazing transcriptions I couldn't live without. Transcriptions are so much fun. I mean, some of them are atrocious, like those horrible Bruckner symphonies arranged for the organ and whatnot. But most of the time, done with a little flair and imagination and a little perversity, they can be really, really, really cool. So we start with Brahms, who is an amazing transcriber of his own music, primarily, because everything that he wrote for orchestra, he arranged for piano four hands, and extraordinarily well. So the first transcription is the Brahms Symphony No. 4, arranged by Brahms for piano four hands. It works marvelously, actually. It's a beautiful arrangement that's really fun to listen to, because the cool thing about hearing orchestral works reduced for an instrument like the piano, where everything is on the same plane of tone, is that you hear details, contrapuntal details, and essential musical lines that sometimes get buried in the orchestral arrangement, particularly if the composer is not exactly the most snazzy orchestrator out there. So that's really wonderful. Next, Schubert, his grand duo in C major. Now, this was arranged by a bunch of people, including Joachim and Weingartner. I like the Joachim arrangement particularly. It is unquestionably a symphony. It really is a symphony. It is not a work for two pianos, or piano four hands, or whatever Schubert wrote it for. I mean, it's orchestral in conception and sound. And yes, you can play it on the piano, but boy, it sounds better when it's set out for the full orchestra. And you get a full-fledged Schubert symphony as a result. It's really something to hear. Absolutely fabulous. Then Rossini Respighi, La Boutique Fantasque, a wonderful ballet based on Rossini's piano music, which Respighi attached and stuck together to make various items, and they work really, really well. It's not strictly a transcription, and it's a transcription / arrangement, because you have to take some liberties with the original text. It's not entirely literal, but it mostly is. It mostly is, and it's really a wonderful work, just delicious to listen to. Number 4, Ravel's Piano Trio, which was arranged by Tortelier, Jan-Pascal Tortelier, for orchestra. And he recorded it as part of his Ravel orchestral music cycle on Chandos. And it's his own arrangement, and it's really fun to sort of beat Ravel at his own game. It's a big and colorful arrangement. It's wonderful. It's got big swats on the tam-tam and the finale and all kinds of nifty stuff going on. He really makes it sound as though it was written for orchestra, which is what a great transcription ought to do. And it's what Ravel's transcriptions or arrangements all do. They make the orchestral version sound as if the original piano thing never existed. And it's a wonderful, wonderful example of that. You should hear it. It's lots of fun. Tchaikovsky, The Nutcracker, the complete ballet, arranged for piano solo by Stuart Goodyear. This is just fantastic. You know, all ballets have piano arrangements because that's how the dancers rehearse. They don't have a full orchestra. You've got a ballet pianist who plays the whole thing at the keyboard. So there are piano arrangements of everything, but this is a wonderfully intelligent, colorful, and wonderfully played, enjoyable disc. If you don't know the Nutcracker for piano, or if you like the Nutcracker and are curious, this is a very, very fine transcription that you can enjoy at any time of the year and for any reason. And he does the whole ballet. It's just amazing. Dvořák, the Slavonic Dances. Yes, those are transcriptions as we know them, because the orchestral versions are arrangements or transcriptions of the original, which was for piano four hands. That's how they were originally published. But we know them as brilliant orchestral works now in their transcribed version. And there's actually another wonderful Dvořák piece that was transcribed similarly, the Legends for orchestra, which aren't as well known as they deserve to be. They're gorgeous. But the Slavonic Dances are just immensely popular, and deservedly so, and fabulously set forth for the full symphony orchestra. Then we've got, Beethoven's Symphonies, arranged by Liszt for solo piano. These are the best Beethoven transcriptions out there, not surprisingly. Liszt is controversial, of course, when it comes to questions of musical taste and aesthetics. But the fact of the matter is, as a transcriber of works for the piano, nobody did it better. He had the keenest appreciation of piano sonority and the greatest ability to lay the music out for the two hands. And they're absolutely fabulous arrangements where, as I said in the Brahms, you hear all kinds of interesting details which are actually there, but which don't show up when heard in the somewhat tricky balances afforded by the orchestra. So the Liszt Beethoven symphony transcriptions are really splendid, and I can't recommend them highly enough. Brahms, again, his piano quartet number 1, arranged by Schoenberg. This is a fantastically perverse arrangement with all kinds of percussion and celesta and strange things happening in the finale, and for that Hungarian finale with tambourines and xylophones. And goodness, it's as un-Brahmsian as it possibly could be. Schoenberg, of course, insisted it's exactly what Brahms would have done, and it's as Brahmsish as he could possibly make it. Well, it is and it isn't. Like I said, it's colorful and orchestrationally and all that. No way. But it really does suit the music. It's true to the spirit of the work, if not to the style of he who wrote it, necessarily. Schubert, the Wanderer Fantasy, arranged by Charles Koechlin. Now, there are a couple arrangements of the Wanderer Fantasy. Liszt did it as a piano concerto, and fabulously, by the way. Absolutely fabulous. It's a wonderful arrangement that should be played constantly, and it isn't, which is a pity. But Charles Koechlin, on the disc on Hensler called Koechlin Magicien Orchestrateur, or whatever it's called, magician orchestrator, did an absolutely bizarre orchestration with lots of woodwinds and things. It sounds more like Messiaen than it does Schubert, and it is fascinating and quirky and strange and marvelous at the same time. If you know Schubert's Wanderer Fantasy, you will want to hear that version. It will surprise you, I guarantee it. Then we've got Albeniz, Ibéria, of course. And the first batch of them, of pieces, select pieces, were arranged by Arbós, who was a friend of Albeniz. And he got, Ravel wanted to do it originally. And he was told that Arbós had the rights to it. And his answer was, who the hell is Arbós? Because nobody knew who he was. And he did a good job, Arbós did, actually. But then the rest of it was set by Carlos Surinach, the contemporary Spanish composer, and also very, very excitingly. It's splendid and wonderful. I love it in its orchestral version. It's only been recorded complete a couple of times. There was one on Tel Arc with Lopez Cobos and one on Decca. So, those are your choices. But they are really, really first class. Albert Wolff did the one on Decca, I believe. Grainger, Percy Grainger. Listen, anything by Percy Grainger. I couldn't pick. You have Molly on the Shore, Handel in the Strand, Shepherd's Hey! 4 billion versions of each one of those, arranged for everything from strings to percussion to winds to band to things to chorus to what. You must have Grainger folk song arrangements. They are some of the most fascinating, interesting, perverse, demented, imaginative transcriptions. Just wonderful, wonderful pieces. And you can get whatever ones you want. You get a disc of them and you just have a good time. And you will. I mean, they're just absolutely captivating. Grieg, the Holberg Suite. Well, the version for string orchestra is a transcription of his original piano version. It doesn't have all the movements of the piano version. It's quite similar to Ravel's Le Tombeau de Couperin in that respect. But oh my, what a gorgeous work it is. People talk about, how on, what was it, BBC Radio 3 or Classic FM, that's the thing. In the UK, they play the Lark Ascending every 5 minutes. Well, here they played the Holberg Suite every 5 minutes. It was the piece for like public radio. Every time I turned on, not public radio, commercial radio on WQXR, and probably now on WNYC or here in New York, the classical station. Every time you turn it on, they're cranking out the Holberg Suite. It's endlessly attractive. But, well, maybe not every day for the rest of your life, but it's very, very beautiful. Then, of course, we have to have Tchaikovsky's arrangement of Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor. I mean, how can we live without a good, juicy Bach transcription by Tchaikovsky? Oh, these are so much fun. They really are. They're just delicious and delightful. And they were his calling cards as a conductor. Encore pieces and main works both. And gee whiz, they haven't dated a bit. I don't care what anyone says about how unstylish they may be. They work fabulously well. And really, Bach is one of those composers. He didn't write. He wrote music that is independent of its mortal garb. What can I tell you? It doesn't matter how you arrange it. It works upside down, backwards, sideways, underwater, in outer space. It wouldn't make any difference. It sounds splendid, and it does in Tchaikovsky's arrangement, which was made popular in the film Fantasia. Then we have Debussy, the Children's Corner, arranged by André Caplet for orchestra. In truth, I vastly prefer the piano original. I really do. But I mean, that's why I wanted to learn the piano, was to play Children's Corner, which I sort of kind of almost did, except for the hard parts. It really is just such a wonderful piece. And Caplet's arrangement is actually very interesting because it's the opposite of what the reductions are, whereas the piano reductions of like Beethoven's symphonies show you all kinds of contrapuntal interest in things that you don't normally hear. Caplet's orchestral arrangement eliminates things that you do hear in Debussy's original because of the orchestra. The balances are different, particularly in the opening Dr. Gradus ad Parnassum, where all those arpeggio figures, give that to a clarinet and a harp or something, and all of the balance and detail just vanishes. It becomes just a wash of impressionist color. Very, very interesting. Question in aesthetics. Schubert's String Quartet No. 14, Death and the Maiden, arranged by Mahler for string orchestra. Oh, this is tons of fun. Mahler's arrangement is totally faithful to Schubert's original. All he did was add a bass line, a part for double basses in various spots, and otherwise he kept to the quartet original very, very strictly in the arrangement for string orchestra. But it sounds wonderful. And, you do have, the hand of one great composer commenting on another. And that's always fun to listen to. Mahler also did some Beethoven quartet arrangements. And as you know, there are several of those. Bernstein recorded one, of course, and a whole disc of it with the Vienna Phil. And all the late Beethoven quartets have been arranged for string orchestra. So somebody might point those out. Feel free, because you don't have to stick to, one work per composer or my list, or you could use whatever you want in coming up with your own selection, yes. And last but not least, of course, Mussorgsky Ravel, Pictures at an Exhibition, the greatest transcription ever made by anybody of anything, period. And I don't need to go into it more than that. So let me see your list, friends. I'm absolutely dying to check out what you come up with. Keep on listening and take care.